Assalamu alaikum and hello. उम्मीद है कि आप सब खैरियत से होंगे. I'm here in Lahore to attend the Lahore Literary Festival. I missed yesterday क्योंकि I was stuck in traffic because of the debut. I wanted to attend the Balochistan Digital Archives, लेकिन आज मैं वहाँ मौजूद होंगी.
I think there are many lessons as well in terms of how to, as Syria became increasingly difficult to get into, and our colleagues were kidnapped and many of them were killed in gruesome ways. Understandably, many people started reporting from a distance, so there are questions that we need to have as an industry about how to cover a conflict from a distance, how to verify information on social media, which is coming from people who are often, using names that are completely anonymous, and we aren't even really sure where they are. So how do we go about doing our work when it becomes too dangerous to be in the place that we're covering? So there are many different lessons based on who is the audience for those
मेरी अम्मी नहीं पढ़ी लिखी थी, लेकिन फिर भी उन्होंने बहुत कुछ किया और उन्हें इस चीज़ की अहमियत पता थी कि अगर मैं अपनी बेटियों को अच्छे स्कूल से पढ़ाऊँ, उन्हें अच्छी एजुकेशन दूँ, एक अच्छी तरबियत के साथ, तो वो कहीं अकेले भी खड़ी होंगी ना, तो वो 4 लोगों के सामने बात कर सकती है, जैसे मैं अभी आपके सामने बात कर सकती हूँ.
And we should be really proud of the fact that this product goes all over the world from this country, and we need to invest well into it because it's such a powerful tool of communication.
I think for me, when I was writing the book, the hijab was what is hidden. The hijab for me represented what are you hiding? What is it that you don't want to show the world? Not your skin, not your hair, but what is it inside you that you don't want anyone to see? That is what the hijab represented for me. That little space inside you that's hidden, that little story that you don't want anyone to know. That's what I wanted to bring out in the open.
And I think what you do really well is you sort of ground it in the mundane. So it's just women going about their business, the business of being women in the world. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at it.
These are stories, and these are not my views, disclaimer, right? This lady who's been raising her hand for quite a while.
Hi, no worries. I actually wanted to pose this question. So you mentioned that that hijab for some women in the stories that you've shared in this book was a political choice. Have you also like balanced that with stories of women who have made that as a conscious spiritual choice and who wholly believe that this is something that their religion wants them to do?
So I don't feel that it's the responsibility of a fiction writer to balance anything, because it's not a scholarly work. As I said, I'm not representing anyone. So I didn't think that I need to, balance the book with an equal amount of representation of women who wear the hijab. But it's interesting you say that, and I think in some ways perhaps it is important. There is a story, The Good Wife, where the woman makes a political choice to wear the hijab because she feels that as a Muslim she must assert her identity through what she believes are the principles of Islam, where she talks about, Allah has, I've been told to cover my head, and these are the principles, these are the fundamentals, and this is what I need to do. So that story is there, yes, it is there. However, it's not a conscious decision. It wasn't that I went and I said, I will have 6 stories of women who wear the hijab and 6 stories of women who don't wear the hijab, or 3 stories of women who wear the hijab because of religious reasons. But I think maybe, it does have a mix. The women in this collection who do wear the hijab wear it for various reasons, but I think that's just the way it panned out.
What I meant was that, there's something really profound about a woman who spiritually makes that choice and the struggles that she has to go through in society. Because I have...
And we cannot but forget the recent incident in Pulwama, where 44 Indian soldiers were killed. It affects all our lives. You've got 2 nuclear states.
I would then go and man the borders. Why are the troops in the valley, in the cities? I mean, there's a difference between preventing intrusions from Pakistan and oppressing the people of Kashmir. The political economy of war serves the interests far better than any political economy of peace that you and I can talk about, and that's our tragedy.
The crisis is not for you, Europe. The crisis is for those thousands of people whose countries are on fire. And the crisis is for that family that's on a boat in the middle of the sea. It's not a crisis for France. It's not a crisis for Europe. It just isn't. And I felt wounded, and I feel wounded every time I travel. Because they see your passport, they see where you're from, and when they were over here for 400 years, we didn't have a choice but to let them in, And now they've had 60 years of migration to the West and they can't cope. And there's something that profoundly angers me about that. And the Runaways was born of that.
Our voice to the voiceless, to ensure that they are heard. And if we refuse to be silent despite the pressures, and finally, yes, if we link to each other, the institutions as well as the individuals, I believe that dynamite that is Asma Jahangir will continue to live with us.
I feel that often in these big foreign policy books, the individuals are lost for those bigger issues, but I think that we can actually use the individuals to explain the bigger issues, and that's what I tried to do in the book.
So I just got back from Lahore, and it was an amazing experience. और I think कि इस तरह के जो events होते हैं, like this one, I'm not sure about others, but this event in particular, ये event मुफ्त था, so you don't have to pay to go, और आपको access मिल रहा है इतने पूरे knowledge bank का आपको access मिल रहा है, and I think that is great क्योंकि मतलब you can learn so much. So मुफ्त में एक तरह से आपकी education हो रही है, और I think कि इस तरह के events में जाना चाहिए. Sure, 1, 2, 3 इस तरह के लोग होंगे जो कि आप कहोगे कि यार ये क्या कह रहे हैं, it's a bit maybe they're saying something that would be categorized as something that's a bit of a pseudo intellectual thing. Most of those people were speaking very soundly, and they come from a very rich background in the areas that they were talking about. Like, they specialize in these subjects. So it was amazing. I had fun. And for someone like me, I love learning, or I learned a lot. It was a weekend of learning and one of inspiration. I feel enriched, I feel rejuvenated, and I'm just flooded with all sorts of new ideas.